Let me deal with just shortly, since you got a tape on that already, the CIA and drug dealing. There's certainly no war on drugs. I worked undercover in an organization, a cartel, so-called drug organization, whatever they want to call it from time to time, in Cincinnati for 3 years. In Detroit, Michigan, for a 6-month period, the FBI's budget for fighting drugs was $2,000. We had to borrow money from the drug dealers to buy drugs. So you know how serious they are about fighting a war on drugs. And let's just get real about it. It's not a major surprise for people to come to us and say that the CIA was dumping drugs into the community by them turning the other way and trying to support the Contras. We know that Ronald Reagan told them to fund that war by any means necessary. See, we say by any means necessary. That's a good speech for us. We'll put it on our shirts. That's how they live. And we say it as our slogan. We've claimed it, right? But that is how they live. Fund the Contras by any means necessary. Not a big deal. Shouldn't be a major surprise. The drugs coming in our communities have gotten us leaders with no followers. You can come up and speak and give all the powerful speeches you want to, but if the people who are following you are zombies now because they're out on drugs, then let them speak. Go ahead. That's a beautiful, wonderful speech you gave. But where are your followers? They're all back at the crack house, right? So it's no big surprise that they did that. I mean, they keep saying, well, there's no... And what did we expect from a CIA investigation? I mean, telling the CIA to go and investigate themselves, it's like telling the murderer, go out and investigate yourself, collect the evidence, bring it in, prosecute yourself, find yourself guilty, and sentence yourself to the death penalty. Okay, I'll do that right away. It just ain't going to happen. I mean, we can call for all the panels and reports. They're not going to convict us up. And you wouldn't either, would you? Somebody says it's up to you to find out whether you were wrong. Or tell your child, listen, if you broke that lamp, go over in the corner and spank yourself. It's just not going to happen. But we wait on that, and we're calling on a CIA investigation. We want them to hold hearings and investigate. And what conclusion do you truly think they're going to come out with? You know they're doing it. The evidence is there. They say, well, there's not enough evidence. Every day in this country, 95% of the people in this country are convicted on circumstantial evidence. Nobody have direct evidence. They just pull the facts together. They say this is the case, and they convict them. And there's certainly enough evidence in this case. But the question becomes now that you know you don't have a friend in the government in terms of fighting drugs, what are you going to do now? I mean, now you know it. Okay, the CIA was delivering drugs to your community, no doubt about it, 100% fact. We want some people to go to jail. I think we can still have people up there putting pressure on that. Don't ever expect them to admit it, though. As I said, I worked in this organization, and this organization had a chart set up, well organized about how they were going to target 6-year-olds in the black community to be lookouts. Then they were going to elevate them to dealers on the corner. Then they were going to elevate them to the next step. And by the age of 25 to 30, one or two things were going to happen. Either they were going to elevate them into the top echelon of the organization, or they were going to kill them off. You have these drive-by shootings all the time, one gang killing another gang. A lot of those things are not just drive-by shooting, they're organized hits. I want somebody hit. He works for me. He's bringing too much heat on the organization. He's driving around in a Mercedes with flashy rings and a gold necklace. When he gets caught, there's no loyalty to us. He's going to tell on us, so I'm going to get him hit. What's the best way to get him hit and have nobody investigate it? Go hire another gang to hit him. They come on the news that it was just a drive-by shoot, and everybody go to bed and say that's a shame. And nobody figures out that it's not just a drive-by shooting, it's an organized hit with the two gangs being orchestrated. I can pay you to hit him, you don't have any love for him anyway, but nobody investigated any further than the fact that it's a drive-by shooting. And that the two is gang warfare. And they can tell us that on the news at night, and we feel safe, oh, that's just them gangs at it again, without looking deeper into it. And maybe that's what it is, but there's much more to it. The organization that I was involved in knew there was much more to it. They operated from Florida through Cincinnati, through New York, through New Jersey, and knew there was much more to it. We have an investigation that lasts for months and then get a notice from the FBI on a piece of paper that says no further investigation to be conducted. But wow, we've identified somebody in Florida. Just no further investigation to be conducted. Just shut it down, Negro, and go look at something else. That's the paperwork we got back from them. No doubt about it, there's no war on drugs. Why would they want to take a people who had begun to get this revolutionary spirit during the 60s and clean your children up and take them off drugs and make them revolutionaries again? Why? Why would they want your children to get a good education? Because when they got a good education, they was trouble. In slavery, they cut your arm off, hand off, feet off. They get a good education, and now all of a sudden you say, well, you're not educating us. Never have. Why would that change? This drug war is a major false, and for them pulling that to say that they are that the CIA is not involved is a joke. You know it's a joke, but you're still waiting for the report to come back. Well, they done came back a couple of times. You know what they done come back and say. Ricky Ross, during the time that I was in Cincinnati, was arrested in Cincinnati and let go. He was arrested in Cincinnati. Look at the records. He moved into Cincinnati. He moved in with an older gentleman, paid him some astronomical fee to live there, thought it would keep him low-key, got caught out with some drugs on him, was arrested and let go. And finished setting up his drug organization. This fact is documented, so you know they're guilty. I mean, it ain't no grand conspiratorial theories or black paranoia. It's just facts, just plain facts. And when people begin to call you paranoid, you know you want the right track. Or when they begin to say it's a conspiracy. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, they taught you all your life to do scientific reasoning. Hypothesis, deduction, 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 conclusion. But when you start doing that, they say, oh, that's a conspiracy. No, it's a scientific method. It's what you teach in your schools. But when we use it, it's a conspiracy. When you use it, it's good science. It's good research, right? The same method that is being used. You can't expect anything else to come out of that. We know, and I'll end up with this, we know that there are political prisoners all over this country in prisons. And I've had the opportunity lately across the country to talk to some of them by correspondence, mostly by letters. And the sad part about this is that some of these people gave their entire lives for black people 20, 25 years ago. And now they are political prisoners sitting in jail and we forgot all about them. Right. Black, Latino, otherwise. They're sitting in prisons, locked away for trying to make things better for you and your children, and you don't even recognize that they exist. In prisons all across this country. And you know they are political prisoners. You know from reading history that people went to jail. If any time they take a man who is preaching about God, Martin Luther King, and put him in prison, and then let him back out, think of the brothers who went into prisons who were preaching revolution and never got back out. And we've just forgotten all about them. They're gone. They put up a good fight. They got crushed. They're gone, and we don't think about them again. We need to think about them again. We need to get lists of their names and correspond with them. Let them know that we appreciate what they did and what they're doing. Offer them assistance if we can. Because it is entirely, I mean, it is any group of people in the world, or any group in the world will look at us and say, listen, this is what they do with their freedom fighters. And let's go back in history and look at what they do with their freedom fighters. Marcus Garvey, gone in exile, died out of the country. That was his respect and reward for trying to organize and unite black people. Look at him, Paul Robeson, driven to insanity, living with his sister, driven into poverty. Just look at what we do with our leaders. Martin Luther King, left standing on a balcony by himself with no protection. And black folks, I don't know how they shot him, I don't know how they got to him, and you know he's living under the threat of death threats every day, and you let him go stand on a balcony. Look how we reward him. Malcolm X. Look how you reward the people who stand up for you. And then there's some living who are in prisons, and look how we're rewarding them. And then we want to know where are the strong black leaders. And if you get them, what are you going to do with them? Use them and abandon them to some cold cell where you can forget that they ever existed. We need to correspond with some of those brothers who gave their life, brothers and sisters who put their life on the line for all of us. Black, Latino. Check them out. They're in the prisons. Correspond with them. Give them some help. Because those are the people who gave their entire life. Can you understand that? I mean, Malcolm X once said that most people can't be revolutionaries because they can only stay at it so many hours of a day. But it's a 24-hour job. Once you decide to stand up, and you will eventually, when you get tired of walking over your dead children, or crack-addicted children, when you get tired of an increase of 196% of your black males committing suicide and 50% increase of the black young sisters going to prison, sooner or later you'll get tired enough to say, as Fannie Lou Hamer said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, now I'm going to go out and do something. Sooner or later you'll do that, but there are people now, these political prisoners, who've already done that, who've given up everything, and you don't even care. They just disappear. And see how hard it is for any leader. None of us have a right to sit back as we often do, and call some of these leaders, well, some of them deserve it, but some of these other leaders, sellouts. Because what are you doing? Can you sincerely go to bed every single night of your life and say, I've done something, whether it's talking to one child or changing one child to do something to make life better for my people, to uplift my people? Or you just go to bed complaining about what somebody else didn't do? Every single day, Malcolm X said, 24-hour job. You got to talk about it. Even when people don't want to talk about it, say, listen, man, we just want to have a beer. We don't want to hear about that. Yeah, but while you're sitting here having a beer, many of our brothers are in jail. Many of our young sisters, as I witnessed, are in crack houses. Their mothers are selling these young girls, as I went into these crack houses, for $10 an hour crack, 11-year-old girls over on the couch with grown men having sex with them. And you out partying and you don't want to hear about revolution tonight. And that's what's happening to your baby girls and your sons and daughters. Every single night, we should be able to say we did something. And if everyone does something, there's going to be a change. But many of us, we'll talk a good game, but when it comes time to doing something, no way, just no way are we going to get involved. But we sound like a revolutionary, right? We got our kente cloth, right? Our pump your fist clothes on, right? Go out and talk a good game and won't do nothing, just chumps, total chumps.